Hi, I'm Dr. Denise Saunders, a career counselor with the NIH Office of Intramural Training and Education. Today we're going to be looking at resilience in the job search. What is resilience? Resilience is the ability to overcome adversity, to deal with setbacks and disappointments, and to manage difficult emotions and impulses. Setbacks are challenging. We live in a very stressful world, and particularly in the job search. The job market is very tight right now. It's very competitive, and we find that there are many things that lead to setbacks and disappointments in that process. What are some of the possible stressors that can lead to disappointment and frustration in the job search? In your search in itself, obviously, it is a difficult job market. There's a lot of competition out there, particularly for those of you who are in research science. You may have frustrations that your CV or your resume isn't quite what you want it to be, that your contracts are ending for your postdoc experiences, and you know you only have a designated amount of time. It could be that you are facing challenges at home or in the workplace that are contributing further to the stress that you're experiencing. And in our American culture, we live in a very hurried, fast-paced, often overcommitted life. Factors influencing resilience. Really important is the capacity to make and develop realistic plans. Too often we set unrealistic expectations for ourselves, and then we just set ourselves up for failure. So be sure that you're setting realistic plans in your job search and carry them through. Don't just establish the plans and not follow through. You want to follow through on the goals that you establish. Think positively about yourself. You know, it really is true that it takes a lot of self-confidence and the ability to communicate effectively what you can offer the employer. Without that, the employers are left having to draw out of you the kinds of skills and expertise that you may offer. So think clearly about what you have to offer and be able to communicate that. And problem solve when your situation calls for problem solving. Sometimes setbacks are opportunities to think through difficult challenges. Those of you who are research scientists have gotten very good at troubleshooting and problem solving. Use those kinds of skills in your own job search. And the capacity to manage strong feelings. Certainly there are opportunities in a job search to get really frustrated, to feel angry. You might engage in some blaming and, you know, sort of pointing fingers and so forth. That's not helpful. So think through the kinds of things that you can do to, you know, recognize that you're disappointed, that maybe you're a little angry things worked out the way that they did, or it makes you really kind of sad. That's the reality of the situation and a setback or disappointment, but then move on. When we think about the factors influencing resilience, optimism is a really key component to that. So let's talk a little bit about the distinctions between optimism and pessimism. Optimism involves confidence. It involves satisfaction. It shows resilience in your ability to deal with difficult challenges. It means that you are hopeful and suggests that failures are always isolated events. Pessimism, on the other hand, often involves self-criticism. Self-critical thinking, it could be anger and frustration, guilt, shame, despair, and even overgeneralization, believing that when situations occur, they're going to occur all the time. Let's look a bit further at some of the differences in the views and beliefs of people who are more optimistic versus those who tend to be more pessimistic. Optimism involves kind of a temporary experience. So when something happens and it leads to a setback or a disappointment, you see that as being only temporary. It's specific. It tends to be isolated to only a particular event or experience, and they're external. You understand that the factors that led to that setback or disappointment are outside of you, that they're due to external factors. Now, in contrast, pessimism, or people who think more pessimistically, tend to view their experiences as being more permanent. They're going to last for a long time, and they are universal. If they happen this time, it's going to happen to me all the time. So in the job search, I didn't get a phone interview this time, I'm never going to get a phone interview. An optimistic approach finds value in failures and mistakes. And what I mean by that is that we look at setbacks as an opportunity for new learning. Everything that happens to us, we have the chance and the control about how we interpret it. So when you experience a failure or a mistake or a setback, consider it an opportunity for new learning. In the job search, sometimes it can lead us to understanding things about ourselves that we didn't have a full understanding of before, or we re-clarify what we see as our strengths or our areas of expertise. Learn to fail better. Inevitably, as human beings, we're going to have experiences that lead to failure. So learning to fail better and really using that as a chance to consider opportunities that might lead to. How might you enhance optimism and resilience? Number one, challenge any kind of negative, self-critical thinking. Be present in the moment. And by that I mean that too often in our very stressful lives, we don't really appreciate and value our experiences in the moment. Mindfulness is a growing practice that actually encourages people to practice being present in the moment. And this means that they are observing what's happening to them, both emotionally, both physically, maybe sight and sound, but doing so in a non-judgmental way, and then using that information to allow them to interpret and experience things a little differently. And this could be as simple as really being mindful and enjoying a good cup of coffee, or being mindful of relationships and opportunities to spend time with others, or doing good work at the bench if you're a research scientist. And being mindful of what you're doing for yourself in your job search and how you're taking care of yourself along the way. Another thing that can be done to enhance optimism and resilience is to engage in what are called positive psychological exercises. Martin Seligman and his research group did a study to look at the impact of these positive psychological exercises. Specifically, gratitude, giving gratitude to someone who had done something that you really appreciated and valued, but maybe hadn't had the opportunity or the time to thank them. Writing a letter and showing appreciation for them. And if you had the chance to deliver that in person. Also, thinking of 3 good things that happen to you every day. It's that subtle shifting in your thinking, and when you practice that on a daily basis, it actually changes the way that you think. And instead of the default being a more judging, self-critical sort of thought process, it turns into a more positive, optimistic one. The third one is to potentially look at your signature strengths. There's a website called Authentic Happiness that Martin Seligman and his research group have a variety of surveys available there. The signature strengths is one of them. And in this particular study, they looked at the impact of that when people not only took the survey, but looked at their top 5 signature strengths and began to use those more intentionally throughout the week. What these studies show is that using those kinds of positive psychological exercises and practicing them has an impact on increases in happiness and decreased depression. There are many, many books out there on resilience that talk about these concepts that I've been sharing with you today. Some of the books, The Buddhist Brain, The Practical Neuropsychology of Happiness, Love, and Wisdom by Rick Hanson, The Pursuit of Perfect by Tal Ben-Shahar, and The How of Happiness, A New Approach to Getting the Life You Want by Lee Bermersky, and some others, Martin Seligman's seminal book on Learned Optimism. There's also a couple of things out there. There's a TED Talk out there that Rick Hanson did about hardwiring happiness, a very short that you can take a look at, as well as the documentary Happy. If you'd like further information on career development resources that the OITE has available, please visit the website www.training.nih.gov.